Hey, so everybody having a good time tonight? I know this guy is. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm going to try out some of my new stuff on y'all. It's killer stuff. You ready? Here it goes. What's the difference between an apple, and a banana? Give up? About 8 grams of carbs. 8 grams of carbs. No? Nothing? All right, you're going to love this one. I went up to the bartender earlier and I said, hey, pal, give me a margarita, a Mai Tai, a Guinness, and 2 shots of insulin.
You suck, Pettis!
So there I am earlier today, right? Minding my own business. And I'm on the TCOID website, and I couldn't believe that a diabetes educational organization asked me to accept cookies. Accept cookies! Well, I want everybody to have a great time with the rest of the conference. That's it for me. Good night, folks. Have a good one.
Aloha everyone, Bo Irvine here, in my backyard here in Kailua. Just want to let everybody know we are in the backyard. You're going to be hearing noises from our beautiful Hawaii here. We got dogs barking, kids screaming. It's a happy day here. Everyone's outside and taking advantage of this beautiful sunny day in Hawaii. I am from Kailua. Any Kailua people out there? Aloha, brothers and sisters. You see me walking down the street, please pick me up and give me a ride home. I do practice social distancing. I have my mask. I wash my hands. Please, everyone, please do this, especially if you're type 2 diabetic, because as we know, type 2 diabetics have a very, very bad outcome, or a lot of them with this pandemic. So my whole goal for the pandemic was to get in better health and take control of my diabetes. I want to take control of your diabetes for having me back and speaking with you. This virtual thing is driving me. It's different. I have everything is virtual now. If I talk to anybody, it's FaceTime, virtual, VC, Zoom, Boom, Doom. You know, I was talking to my doctor the other day, and my doc said, I got to get a colonoscopy. And I said, on Zoom, does the tube reach that far? I wasn't sure. So it's been a challenge, but it's been a lot of fun. And it's given me a lot of time to reflect on my health, which I hope a lot of you that weren't able to do anything were able to do to reflect on your health and make it better. I know that can be tough. You know, when I'm one of those people that when things get tough, I start I start going to the kitchen. I want to eat. You know, instead of going the other way and saying, I don't need to do this, I feed my anxiety and everything with the food I eat. And that's kind of tough. But I've been able to overcome that. Things are coming back to life here in Hawaii. I go every morning to the beach and meditate. And this morning I was at the beach, Kailua Beach, at Kailua Bay there. I'm standing there, and a woman walks up, a tourist walks up, and she's social distancing. I make sure, and it's onshore winds, so she was here, and the wind was blowing this way, so I wasn't really worried. I had my mask on, and she says to me, she goes, I have a question for you. I go, okay. She goes, do sharks live out there in that ocean? And I go, I'm sorry? She goes, do sharks live out there in that ocean? I go, yep, that's where they live. We live here, they live there. What a concept. I said, you see a shark out here walking around, let me know. I'll make him a lawyer. And then she asked me, true story, she goes, if I'm out there swimming with my husband and a shark comes up, what should I do? I said, well, ma'am, you're in luck. I'm Hawaiian. It's a Hawaiian thing. We don't teach this to too many people. If you're out there swimming with your husband and a shark comes up, you should take out a knife and stab your husband. Swim away rapidly, because he's not going to come back with you, but you'll live to see another day. It's a Hawaiian tip. So our island's coming back alive. Everybody's getting vaccinated. I've had 2 shots. I'm feeling good about that. So that's been another great thing. And dealing with diabetes is not a fun thing, as we all know. I remember when I was, first not diagnosed with diabetes, because I wasn't, it was back when I was like 27 years old. I failed a physical in the fire department, had to go to the doctor, and took a bunch of tests, and I had high blood pressure. That's why I'd failed my physical, or I was, and so the doctor at the time was a really smart man, I thought. He, instead of giving me medicine at that time, he told me to meditate, and that got rid of my after about 7 months, I was doing better or fine. But while I was there for that time, he tested me for diabetes, and I was a borderline diabetic. I've learned since then there's no such thing as a borderline diabetic. You're either a diabetic, or it's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. So I think I've probably been a diabetic all the way back to that time. And then I guess it was 1986, 87, I had a cardiac event. Really not a heart attack, but I got very sick, chest pain, tons of chest pain. I found I had coronary artery disease, had to go to cardiac rehab. They sat me down we were there for, I'd say it was 2 or 3 weeks, and we learned to eat. And one of the things I learned, that all the foods I love to eat, when I would go to Liki Liki Drive-In, I know they're closed now, I'm going to say the name, Liki Liki Drive-In, I would get the loco moco, I would get the Portuguese sausage, rice and eggs, fried rice. I would sit there, God rest his soul, my good buddy Melka Bang and I, at 2 o'clock in the morning after shows, and we would sit there and we would order enough food for 14 people, and there was only 2. Of course, Mel ate for 13. I only ate for 1. And so it was back then I had started my journey to diabetes and heart problems and coronary artery disease. So I fast forward to after that and going to the cardiac rehab, and I was eating what I considered was healthy food. Lots of carbs. I was eating spaghetti with marinara sauce. No meat. Nothing. No cholesterol. I was trying not to eat cholesterol. Of course, every once in a while I would zip to Zippies and get some cholesterol. But you can find some very, very healthy meals there at Zippies, and I started doing that also. So when you go out to eat, you can find healthy meals. So went to my cardiologist. About 6 months, 7 months after my heart event, I wasn't feeling well. In fact, here's what it was. I had, and for those of you type 2 diabetics, you can relate to this. I had what I considered a cold, or even the flu. I wasn't sure. I was feeling very lousy, very sluggish, tired all the time. Was peeing all the time. I had all the signs of being a diabetic, but I didn't really know I was. So because I was feeling sick, I figured I had to take vitamin C and drink lots of liquids. That was a supposed cure for any of those things. So me being ahead of the game on the dean's list, not the dean's list, Jimmy Dean's list. I was on that list, the sausage list. I went and I bought orange juice, because I figured kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Orange juice and vitamin C. It's got vitamin C and liquid. I'm right there, going strong. Well, after about a month of doing that, I started getting very, very sick. I felt like throwing up. I remember my son had come home on vacation from college. He was in Iowa, and he was studying health at that time in school. And he came home and he noticed that in fact, he had said to me, he said, "Dad, you're drinking way too much orange juice." Because I was drinking, I swear, at least 2-3 gallons a day, because it tasted good. And I thought I was doing myself good with the vitamin C and the liquid. So when I got real scared is when my eyesight started to go. But I'm a typical guy. I was still in denial that anything was wrong with me. I remember when I was having chest pain, I went through almost 3 hours of denial. And you have to remember, you would think chest pain, I would know something. In the fire department, I taught CPR. I was an instructor trainer for CPR with the Heart Association and the American Red Cross. But I was a typical guy. I was young. I was in denial. This is not happening to me. Same thing with the diabetes. I was in denial. And for those of you out there just learning this, denial is not a river in Egypt. It's not a river in Egypt. It is something we all go through. So I finally got scared. I got scared enough to go to the doctor. Went to my cardiologist. He told me, "You got to go see this young lady." As it turned out, it was Dr. Lori Tom, my endocrinologist. A lot of you here in Hawaii know her. If it wasn't for her, Take Control of Your Diabetes wouldn't be here. She's one of the leaders here that brings this program over from Dr. Steve and the gang over there in San Diego. Aloha to them. And I remember I called and couldn't get an appointment because she was booked up, because she's very, very popular and people want to see her. And so I called my cardiologist. within 3 hours. I got a phone call back. So I go to her office. She took all the tests. She sits me down in her office. She goes, "You the comedian, yeah?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, I've heard you before on Perry and Price. I go, "Yeah, I'm on there pretty regular." Back in the 80s I was anyway, and 90s. And she goes, I've heard you. She goes, "We have our diabetes walk coming up here real soon. Will you please MC the diabetes walk for us?" And I said to her, "Do I have diabetes?" She goes, "Will you MC the walk?" I said, "Wait a minute, do I have diabetes?" She goes, "Will you MC the walk?" I said, "Yeah, I'll MC the walk." She goes, "You got diabetes." I said, "Well, now I have a reason." So she gave me a tester. All of us have gotten a tester before. She gave me a tester, which I test all the time. And if you could see real close, my fingers there are shot. I test 3 and 4 times a day now. And she gave me a logbook. So the next day, as soon as I left her office when she gave me the tester and the logbook, I was still in denial that I was a diabetic. So what did? I drove to Leonard's Bakery on Kapahulu and bought myself some malasadas because I'm not a diabetic. And then I rushed home and went to sleep for about 3 hours. So the next day I had to fly to the mainland, Virginia Beach, to do a thing for a week. So I'm in Virginia Beach. I check in the Marriott. I'm there. I can barely see. My eyes are all foggy. For those of you have lived through that, I say it's like being in a swimming pool and opening your eyes, chlorine, or swimming in a chlorine pool or the ocean all day, and then opening your eyes and there's like sand or gravel, very blurry. Well, that was my eyesight there in Virginia Beach. And plus, I had an old tester. I tell this story because you young people today that are getting diabetes, the new testers are like these little things, and within 4 seconds, 5 seconds, you get the number. Well, in those old days, you had a thing. It reminded me of a big box, and it had a big strip, and you had to put like 10 gallons of blood on that strip. And if you didn't get exactly 10 gallons, it would for 30 seconds, it would read it and then it would come back and say error. Well, for somebody like me that doesn't like to stab themselves with their tester, it's not fun. In fact, I always used to say, if I lived back in the old samurai days and I had to take my life, I'd die. They'd come in 6 years later and there'd be a skeleton, and I still didn't kill myself because I don't like poking myself. And so with the old testers, you had to get up a lot of blood. So I'm staying at the Marriott and getting all this blood, and I got tons of errors, and I get mad and frustrated after 2 hours of going, no, now, no, not now, now, no, not now. No, not now. You know, I would start before I eat. I would go eat and come back, and 3 hours later, I'm still no now. All day I wouldn't get a blood because I wouldn't want to poke myself because it just hurt, and you had to get like that much. Okay, your whole arm full of blood had to go on that bugger. Anyway, so I remember I came home from after 4 days, or came back to the Marriott after 4 days. I'm staying there, and I got to know my maid, Filipino lady. She lived in Cali way back, and her husband was in the Navy, so she was living in Virginia Beach. And she goes, "Hey, Bo, I have something to ask you. Is there something wrong with you?" I go, "Why?" She goes, "Are you bleeding everywhere? Because there's blood everywhere in the hotel in your room." I said, "Oh, it's from sticking myself. I'm a diabetic." And I thought it was funny. You might not have, but it was very embarrassing. So I got my tester. Now, the first test of my tester. 3 months later, I have to go back to see Dr. Tom. So I get there to the parking lot at Queens Hospital, POB 1 hour early. Because, see, the logbook that I was supposed to fill out, I wasn't filling it out. I was filling it out with my numbers, the good numbers. You know, if I had a lower blood sugar, I would fill it up with a lower blood. I would put the number there with a lower blood sugar. But the higher ones, I would skip it because I wanted to. You know, I was a typical Type A personality. I like being number one. I don't like fail. I got to be the best diabetic there is. So, and then the logbook wasn't filled out. So I'm filling out the logbook now in the parking lot going, okay, what would I have eaten on this day? Oh, I ate nothing but no carbs. It was a very heart healthy and diabetic healthy meal. So Dr. Tom had me take a blood test before I came 2 days before that. So when I get there, she goes, "Can I see your logbook?" Show her my logbook. She goes, "Oh, that's really cool." And so she's reading it. She goes, "Oh, you do." And then she looks at my A1C. My A1C was off the chart. I think it was like 9. I'm serious, 8 or 9. It was high, way high. And she goes, "Well, Mr. Irvine, I want to say one thing. You've done very well with your logbook, but you're a liar." I didn't know anything about A1C. So you new people that are here for the first time at this conference, A1C gonna bust you. So make sure you don't lie, because you're only lying to yourself. It doesn't make you get any better. So I went along on my way, and then I, doing my journey through this, and doing stand-up every night. It's been a tough lifestyle. So in the last year, I've been able to focus, laser focus on my diabetes, laser focus. I've learned to hydrate, drink lots of water. I paddle my one-man canoe. I work out. I was doing CrossFit before that, and I had to stop CrossFit. In fact, day before yesterday was my first day back to CrossFit. I've got 2 shots now. I'm supposedly 98%, but I still wear my mask. I'm going to tell you folks, wear your mask. Spread the aloha, not the virus. Spread the aloha, not the virus. Wear a mask. Instead of shaking hands, do the shaka. If you don't want to spread the virus, do the shaka. It's my new song. I'm not going to sing it for you today because we don't have a lot of time. Do the shaka. I started to meditate. I started really looking at, started really testing myself more often. In fact, I'm hoping I get the new tester, the 24-hour tester. Any one of the ones, the one with the butterfly, whatever one. I can't remember the name. I'm getting old, 70. Okay, I get my timeless disease, so it's my time to forget. So, but I'm looking for one of those continuous monitors because I continuously monitor now. It's very, very important to me to be vigilant with this. Change my lifestyle, change my diet, still take my medicine religiously, and it's paid off. it's paid off a lot. I want to say that. Exercise, I walk, because everything's social distance. I paddle my one man all the way out to Kailua Bay from my backyard. I have a waterway that goes out to the ocean. Perfect. You can't social distance any better than that. You get out to the bay, it's just you and the fish and the turtles. Tons of turtles out there. So my journey has been inward. It's to take care of myself. And I think with the way this pandemic acts towards people that have type 2 diabetes, heart disease, any kind of autoimmune disease, it's good for us to start taking control. I am now down to 100 and I think it was 38 pounds. 138 pounds. The first time I went to take control of your diabetes and spoke in front of that crowd, I was 190 something pounds. I was looking swell. My friends told me, "Brother Bo, you look kind of swell, huh?" I say, "That's not funny, bro." You know what I mean? I was pretty heavy. I had the Dunlap disease. My stomach Dunlapped over my belt. In fact, it was so bad. One day I went somewhere. I had one blue slipper and one yellow slipper on because I couldn't see my feet. That's how big I was. So I just want to say, for those of you out there that struggle with diabetes, we all struggle. It's a constant struggle. It isn't fun, but you can take control of your diabetes. You know, I was over on Kauai doing a thing and had a big group of people. We were walking, and one lady told me, she goes, you walk everywhere you go. I said, no, I don't walk everywhere I go. I still drive. And the traffic in Hawaii is, even after the pandemic, is still bad. You know, you would have thought they'd have fixed all the potholes. But I learned something the other day going into my doctor. It's still the shortest distance between 2 points on this island is under construction. And I think about 8:30 in the morning when the traffic starts moving real smoothly, there's like a little guy above our island going, "Traffic on Kamehameha Highway is moving much too smoothly. Let's cone it off and dig a hole." Then they put that big Hawaiian police officer with the orange vest. The only difference now is after the pandemic, or with the pandemic, he's wearing a mask, orange mask. His only job is to look in that hole they just dug. Do you know that is special duty for our policemen here in Hawaii? Yes. They get over $40 an hour to watch that hole. Yeah, no wonder they're carrying guns. It's like, "Brah, don't come by this hole. This is my hole. I make big bucks for watching this hole. Get away from over here." Yeah. So nothing much has changed since the pandemic. Like, you know, as I've said, I do a lot of paddling, you know, living at home by myself pretty much. Nothing to do, no comedy, nothing. I've had a lot of fun. You know, my wife was still at work. You know, we've been married 49, going on soon to be 50 years. And the other day I was in the boat, in the water, right behind my house. My wife comes running out the backyard and she yells, "Hey, where are you going?" I'm in a boat with my paddle. My inside voice is like, "Where does it look like I'm going?" But you've been married as long as I have, you use your inside voice. My outside voice was, "Well, dear, I'm going paddling." She goes, "Well, you can't go." I go, "Why?" She goes, "You don't have your leash." So I have a leash that tethers me to the boat. So if I flip over or whatever, I just pull on the leash, get back in the boat. Everything's cool. So she goes, "You don't have your leash." So I told her, "Don't worry. I don't need my leash. I'm only going to go in the ocean for about a half an hour. I'm fine. I'll be just fine." She goes, "Nope, you have to have your leash." I said, "Okay, well, okay, thank you." Then she looks at me straight and she goes, "Well, it's not what you think." I go, "Okay." I had to ask that stupid question. What is it I don't think? She goes, "You drowned out in an ocean and they don't find your body. I don't get paid for 7 years. Tie yourself to that boat. I ain't waiting 7 years. Forget the money, the insurance money." So marriage is fun, and then you wake up. So that's it for me. I want to thank you folks for having me. Take control of your diabetes gang, my doctor, Lori Tom, and all my doctors. Aloha, mahalo, Dr. Steve, Michelle, all of you. Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for having me. I'm going to put my mask on and I'm going to heli on out of here. Aloha. And remember, don't shake hands, do the shaka. If you don't like a virus, do the shaka. No shake a hand, do the shaka. If you don't like the virus, all you gotta do is change your name to Iris. No, that ain't gonna work. Just do the shaka. Aloha, mahalo.